Hey guys, welcome back to Rabbit Hole Hobbies. I'm Sam. Today we're making dungeon tiles. I've been running a campaign in Dungeons and Dragons with a couple of my buddies for a while now, and I'm finding that there are instances, especially in combat with multiple enemies, where it's a little bit difficult for everybody to keep track of the placement. And the placement's important because, say, for example, a wizard wants to use a spell and he didn't realize that his ally is right in front of him. Then his ally is going to get hit with that spell, and it becomes frustrating for everybody. So this is a great way to have a visual representation of everybody's placement, so everybody's combat decisions can be made with a lot more of an informed opinion, and it won't stop the fluidity or the flow of the combat, which is another thing that happens when everybody constantly has to be like, wait, where is he? Where are they? Who's that? Where is everybody? And this way the combat, which does take quite a bit of time, especially for larger encounters, can move in a bit more of a fluid flow. And this is really simple to make, and at the end of the video I'll show you a couple different ways in which I envision using these, both with and without the players being able to see it, or with or without the fog of war. Anyways, let's get into that. The first thing I had to do was grab a piece of my XPS foam board and measure off to make sure I can get the biggest square piece possible. Not that it has to be exact, because this isn't rocket science and we're not building rockets, but I got this piece and I could get about 15 inches out of it, which I thought was a decent size to start. So I just measured that off and cut that piece off so that we had it.
Now that I have the square piece, I'm going to take the tape measure and just mark off with a marker at the 1 inch mark, and I'm going to do 3 rows of this just because the ruler I'm using as my straight edge isn't long enough to reach the whole 15 inches. Once I'm done with that, I'm going to flip it around and do it the same thing across the other direction, but I'm going to use a different color just in case my dots overlap and I don't have to get confused about which dot is for which direction. Once all the dots are on, I'm going to take the straight edge and the blade and just run the blade a few times and make sure it's sliced really good, and then move the straight edge over a tiny bit and continue slicing. And this is so you have 2 different slices, so you can actually take a little bit of foam out, because a single slice won't be a very visual division, and this way we can actually create a division between the tiles. This is for sure the most painstaking part of the whole operation. It does take a little bit of time, but as you can see, the grid for the dungeon tiles has already started to appear before we even move on to the next step. So this is the reason we did the multiple slices. You're going to take a pencil and just run it a few times down each one of those lines to open up the space that you've created and get a little bit of that foam out. What this does is actually creates a very clear definition of where each tile is. Now you're just going to grab a few different things, a highlighter, a D20, some toothpicks, a pair of scissors, whatever you got around, and just kind of beat it up a little bit to give it some of that texture that the paint and the wash will sit in once we get painting. Each square represents 5 feet and is also the same size as the base of the mini, so only one person can occupy a spot at a time. Now that the construction and the details are all in, it's time to paint, and for this I'm just going to make a very simple gray color because they're dungeon tiles and it's a very versatile color that you can really use in any situation. For this I'm just going to use my dry wet palette and mix a big chunk of white and black and mix it up till I get the color I want, and I'm not too worried about it being dark enough because I am going to give it a pretty dark wash after. This is also the first time I'm trying to paint on this foam without a primer first, so I'm hoping the paint will stick. I think it will. And when you're painting these, try and get a little bit in the cracks, but you don't have to worry too much about it because we are going to put the dark wash after, which will seep into the cracks. Now that it's time to make the wash, I'm going to make it actually fairly watery because I want it to spread pretty thin and I want it to get deep into those cracks. So it's the same as always, just water with a little drop of dish soap and then a bunch of black and a little tiny bit of brown to mix up, and then just keep painting over it. And when there are little divots and parts of the cracks that aren't getting color, it's helpful to just take a large amount and just kind of dopple it on so that it kind of creates a pool or a puddle, and then it'll seep in a bit further, and then you can brush it off afterwards to thin it back out to get that gray. And you'll see here that it thins out pretty good, but it is giving it a more like rustic, dungeony, aged look, which is exactly what we're going for. You want to keep in mind that since XPS foam does not absorb water, that wash is going to sit there until it's dry, so it will pour out if you tip it up, which is exactly what happened to me here during the final step, which is to paint the border black so that when it's a standalone dungeon tile, it looks a lot better with that black border, and if you end up with multiple dungeon tiles that you want to put next to each other, it'll hide the black anyways, and it kind of creates the same effect as the wash within the lines. So just straight black paint and just go all the way around to create that border. So in our first scenario, the players have entered a dungeon and can see 2 goblins ahead of them. What they are unaware of is that off to the side in the darkness there are 2 other goblins. This is where the fog of war scenario comes into play, because I will either not be allowing the players to see the dungeon tiles at all and just use it to keep track of the 2 goblins off to the side whose actions and movement is tied directly to the player's action and movement. Or alternatively, I can focus the camera in on only part of the dungeon tiles so that the players can only see what I've deemed acceptable, which is called the fog of war. In our second scenario, our players have come across a group of 6 goblins and a battle ensues. To keep the fluidity and the flow of combat from breaking, everybody's going to be able to see the dungeon tiles so that everybody is well aware of everybody's placement and the battle can continue on uninterrupted. To make this simple, the camera will sit somewhere like this.
I hope you guys found that interesting and you're gonna have fun making your own dungeon tiles for simulating combat and stuff. I am gonna be doing a video where I'm gonna make just generic walls and pillars so that within the dungeon tiles you have easily movable units to create separate rooms and whatnot to keep track of stuff like that, and that'll be coming up soon. If you haven't followed me on any other social media, I did take a poll today on Instagram to decide what I was gonna make today, and I did get quite a lot of feedback from that, so you can follow me on Instagram at rabbithole_hobbies. And if you like that, I have a few other Dungeons and Dragons videos you can check out here, and if this isn't the thing for you, check out some of my other videos. I do all kinds of cool stuff. If you did find any use or value in this video, please like, comment, or subscribe, and I'll see you guys again soon. Thanks for watching.